points on the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in October 20th, 2021. And believe it or not, the stock market is within 1% of all-time highs. Today was crazy, but it was a lot like yesterday. Even though there was some negative headlines, or you would have interpreted it very negative a couple of weeks ago. Even though we got that, the market was still able to continue, and it has continued this streak. If you look at it now, it's quite surprising. We are back to the levels of early September, end of August, and that is right near the all-time highs. So we got our earnings after hours. We're getting more earnings tomorrow with Tesla and a lot of other ones, and even within the morning, that's kind of what's been supporting the market here. We have been getting some bigger names reporting, so we are still in earnings mode. There's still a lot going on, and we're getting ready for the end of the year and the guidance. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to go over everything that happened today, what we're looking at tomorrow, the plays that we made, how we went over our earnings plays, and then the plays that I have for the rest of the week. I actually got a couple that I really like. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it's pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/the-stock-market. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch us come to life, and yes. If you had Windows 95 and you played SimCity, then yeah, we're the place to be. And the most important thing you need to do, post or watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So, right off that bat, like I said, today was a lot like yesterday. You got these negative headlines, but it was just not enough to knock the market out of earnings mode. So what we started out with in the morning, you got good earnings, Travelers and Johnson & Johnson, and these are even more consumer-related stocks, and this was kind of the big worry coming into this earnings season. That's why you kind of saw tech pick back up, but both of these companies reported good. They beat guidance, and they even raised it, so everything was looking good there. You did get Procter & Gamble. They brought up inflation and higher costs and how they're going to be looking at that in the future, but it wasn't enough to kind of distract the market. You did see the dollar drop, and one thing that really happened, and we saw it at the beginning of this week, is what the rest of the world is thinking and doing, and that is pertaining to raising rates and inflation. A lot of other countries have now began to raise faster than expectations, or they've been signaling to their market, and now with the dollar dropping today and some of the moves you're seeing, yes, the market is focused on earnings, but when it's looking at the tapering and that fiscal scenario we're going to get here very shortly, a lot of people are essentially just betting that the United States is going to be the last one to start raising rates. So that kind of justified a lower dollar today, and then on top of it, you got more of these economic forecasts that went lower, and like I'm saying, a few weeks ago, that would have scared people a lot more when we were kind of in the volatility. There was still that bad news, but again, as of late, since that CPI report, people are saying, well, I think we might be able to pass on these profits, so things have gotten a little better, and now you're seeing everything focused on earnings, but there is still a lot today. There's still a lot on the table, everything with oil and all that other stuff that we've been watching, and now coming into your first pretty picture here, this one's just very simple. Again, today was very straightforward with earnings and all of that. In just this last week, that's all you've seen the market respond to, and now you are on 5 days in a row of the S&P going back up. We have not seen this since early August, so you remember not too long ago, we went from not moving 1% to then alternating 1% up, 1% down, 1% up, 1% down. So now the streak is continuing again. We are right near all-time highs, and now the real thing moving forward, it is going to be earnings, but anything could happen in the meantime. So even for the rest of the week, we got to watch for those earnings. You're going to get Tesla and a few other of those names, but now the rate hike expectations and tapering, before you know it, we're really going to be focusing on Powell. But now, either the same week of Powell or right before, you're going to get a couple more of these companies. Again, we've got to hear from the banks now. You're getting some of the tech stocks. We're getting some of these consumer stocks. Everything is still just starting out, so keep that in mind. But then just keep watch for how they're going to kind of converge here, because the market is really, really distracted by it. Now, we also did get some talks here about the debt ceiling and all of that stuff, but it's not looking like we're going to get a reaction. It seems a little bit too early for now, but overall, a very categoristic day for earnings. We even watched it in the premiums towards the end of the day. A lot of eyes are focused on what's going to happen this quarter, but again, as long as the news doesn't get worse than anything we've been exposed to, don't underestimate how trigger happy the market could get. So, coming into the company news and events, as far as the debt ceiling, this report came out today. We talked about it yesterday with Yellen and all of that, but Jeffries, they came out and said that their X date, the cutoff date, they said it's too early to tell with the debt ceiling, but they estimate that it will be between December 24th and the 31st, whereas Yellen yesterday, they gave out that date of December 4th. So as we draw closer to the date, we're going to really see the reality of the situation, and that's probably when you'll start to see these headlines start to affect the market. We have been getting them a lot today, back and forth, Manchin and the budget, and people talking about how it's all going to roll into there, but you've really seen the market ignore it alongside a lot of other things, including tapering. But there was that, and then as far as earnings, we got to hear from Netflix. They beat and they raised their guidance on almost all the metrics there, even their estimated users for next quarter. Kind of highlights a new element of growth for them, so that was very good, but the stock barely moved, even ended up moving below expectation, so this is going to be one to watch in the morning. United Airlines, they beat expectation. They did report a loss, but it was less than expected, and they're now expecting about 77% of 29 capacity in the fourth quarter, so that's very good news there for travel. They were able to go up a little bit, and then J&J, they beat and raised rates, and then Procter & Gamble, they struggled, but I think they went up after hours. We will see, but that's your first taste of earnings. Like we're saying, we got a lot more to go, and these are having an effect. I will tell you, watch out for some of these companies in the morning. There's a lot that report there, and that does kind of set the tone, so make sure you're watching those. And then coming into Bitcoin here, this one is pretty crazy, but Bitcoin futures ETF debuted, but it was the second largest ETF ever. The only other bigger ETF debut was the BlackRock Carbon Fund, but that had pre-seed investments. But overall, Wall Street is deeming this a success as far as the ETF launch is concerned, and the fact that Bitcoin didn't go down and it held its price, it is trading a little bit different than the last time we saw Coinbase IPO. But there was that, and then even more crypto news, but related to Facebook. This helped out Coinbase a little bit, but Facebook announced a pilot program for sending remittances using their crypto wallet. They're using a different stable coin, not their Deem coin, but they announced that they're going to be using Coinbase as the custodian to pretty much protect all of the funds there. So this is an institutional level service Coinbase provides. It's very good. A partnership like Facebook, it is looking very, very positive there. So that was really cool to see. Some people, though, have already regarded it as a non-event for Coinbase, though. I will tell you that. But there was that, and then copper. It has been going crazy. I said aluminum on stream today. I don't know why, but it was copper. That's the one that's going crazy. And essentially, there's one company, Trafigura. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but they withdrew a significant portion of the copper reserves, I think, with the LME, and it's been leading to a surge in some of these prices and going crazy. So that has also captured the attention of the materials, inflation, supply chain, and all that. So that was important. I want to see if it does kind of turn into something we hear about down the road. If it does, I think it will be significant. And then as far as the supply chains, even related to the stock, and I believe we're going to get some of these earnings here, but Union Pacific, the railroad company, they said they're now taking cargo around the clock near the LA port. So that's a good sign. And then finally, Google, they released their new Pixel phone today. They doubled the production than what they did last year. So that was very positive. And then they did announce this little partnership with Snap for something called like Quick Tap, where you could access Snap in 2 taps. I mean, I think yeah, but whatever. That was it. So pretty straightforward. A lot of different things on the plate, but it's very clear there is earnings, and there has to be big enough earnings to knock us out of this mode. So I hope you're ready. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different stacks that I'm looking at coming into tomorrow, and really with what we saw today, I am going to be focusing on pre-earnings run-up. And what I mean by that is essentially the earnings have been good mostly. For the most part, things are looking up, and you've been watching the market widen out where a lot of names have been moving big, but the market necessarily is not going too crazy above 1%. So with that, I think there's going to be opportunities for these run-ups both this week and then leading into the next few weeks. So I'm going to start keeping these in mind. I'm not going to shoot on every single one of these, but like you've watched with Coinbase and Uber, I'm keeping them in mind. I'm watching the premium and really taking my time, letting the opportunity come there if it's at least decent and we could get a decent play. But the first one I'm going to be looking at with that context is going to be Shopify. Like I'm saying, pre-earnings run up, it has already ran multiple days in a row. So if it does slow down tomorrow, given the fact it's like post Netflix then getting ready for Tesla, it's either going to be a slow day tomorrow or Thursday. There's usually like a 1-day break in between. So I'm going to be looking for that day. I want to see the premiums. If it does do good, I think this could be a very, very good earnings run up. And on top of it, it does look like Amazon has been leading the way for them. So that is going to be the first play. The second play is Coinbase. And now we got this for the earnings run up already. I got those January ones. We went over those yesterday. Those are up like 70%. And that's one thing I will say. The contracts, they just didn't go up too much. So I think there's still some opportunity, but then also on the short term, I really think we should be able to get this as a frogger. And what I mean by that is essentially the shorter term ones that are a little bit closer to the money. These things could get crazy even in the morning. Some of them shot up a lot of premium. These even dropped back down to like 60 cents. They closed at about $1 there, but I think it'll move a lot more again with time decay and everything else. So I think there might be decent short-term ones. Otherwise, I am just going to be riding out the other play. But this is what I'm saying. We grabbed this one yesterday. Remember, I was up about 40% on it yesterday. We got 20% more. It's about 70%. It is far out the money. This is a 480 and it has time. It's accounting for earnings. But like I brought up on stream and even what we've been going over with this play, you could come to the daily on a lot of these and you'll notice these contracts were going for a lot more. Now, granted, there is a lot less time, but the point is, even if we extended it out to March, the contracts in IV was a little bit higher earlier. Now, it depends on how far or close you are to the money, but now the contracts are getting back to that premium mode there. So keep that in mind, but they got a lot of good news, and the key factor with Coinbase is anything above 308. That is that real breaking level where they couldn't get past it when they bounced, and then even when they started to drop. But very, very bullish. They've just been having a lot of good news. They even had a NBA partnership today. They're the official crypto brokerage of the NBA, so that's cool. But watch them. And then finally, I would say this might even be my favorite one. Somebody asked me about it today, just Snapchat in general with earnings, especially compared to some of the headwinds that Facebook had with the ad tracking and all of that. I think Snap is going to do very good. They've kind of given us clues that they have done better than a lot of the peers in the ad space, so I like it, but I think I might be early on this one, but I'm looking for the pre-earnings run-up. And why I'm saying early is because, one, they're going to report here in a couple weeks. You might get in a little bit ahead of time, and just because you've seen some successful pre-earnings run-ups doesn't mean it's always going to hit there, so just keep that in the back of your mind. I really like them. We'll see how they trade tomorrow. They have been a little all over the place, so keep that in mind, but those are going to be the main plays as far as everything else. I did make a couple of other plays today. We got rid of those Netflixes here. This was my earnings play for Netflix. I am still holding those January leaps. I got these 640s at the beginning of the year, so they've held up. They were up 17%. I decided to hold these into the earnings. It's right at the money, so even though Netflix didn't move too much, this probably won't get too affected there, but if it did go up dollar for dollar, we could benefit off of that. But since I was going to hold that play that we made yesterday, we grabbed them at $4. The next week ones, those went up. They were up about like 50%. I sold them out at $630, got about $400 or a little bit more in profit, and then I used that money to pretty much get a free insurance play, and I bought December Netflix 550s to kind of hedge that other play. We talked about it. I should have probably went closer to the money, but then even looking at how Netflix did play out, kind of didn't really matter there, so we'll watch for the continuation there. But I pretty much took the profit, bought a 550 put for 575, so we got to play one of these earnings run-ups, got to turn it into a free play for earnings there to protect a bigger play I wanted to hold on the upside. So not too bad. That was the first one. And then I also sold out of Roku. This was another pre-earnings run-up play. We only got 2 of these, spent about $140 for 2 of them. I was able to sell one of them today at $1.32. Pretty much got most of my investment back now. It's pretty much an $8 risk for this whole trade. We're going to ride that one out there, but those were the only other plays I made. But again, you're seeing this logic and idea with the pre-earnings run-up, so keep that in mind. But then as far as everything else, going to be watching Roku, watch Intel. They're going to be reporting this week. They had a little bit of the pre-earnings run-up. I kind of wish I got it here today, but they're starting to move. I would keep my eye out for it. And then any of the other chip makers, AMD, NVIDIA, all of them went crazy, so watch them. And then Uber, they got a nice tout today. I think it was on CNBC. They got to go up off of that, but then after hours, they announced the offering of shares related to the Drizzly sale, that alcohol company I bought. I think it was just some of the original holders selling out there, but that negatively affected the stock there, so watch out for them. And then BITO, this is now the ticker for the Bitcoin futures ETF. Gonna keep my eye on it. We'll see whenever it does get options. I mean, given the liquidity, they probably should get it very soon, but now you can kind of get an idea of how Bitcoin is trading in real time. That's amazing. But watch them. Watch Netflix, barely down. They're pricing in $30. They're only down like $6 as of now, so probably going to be a big continuation move there in the morning, so I keep my eye out for them. And then Coin, like we said, and then Tilray. I think there was something regarding like hemp or some other like mini legalization or something in that way, but the weed stocks went absolutely crazy. If you know what it is, I mean, post it below, but big volume, big pop. We'll see if that's able to sustain, but that was interesting. And then Snapchat, like we said, really liking that play. And then I would watch out for banks just in the last couple days. Remember, some of them did good and bad, some led. I know JP Morgan was a little bit worse, but watch if these start leading up, especially in the name of all-time highs where bond yields are at and kind of what you saw in the beginning of the year. Don't let the banks kind of slip behind there, so keep your eye on them. And then Apple, they launched up really, really good today. They held it down for big tech. We sold our random generator play that we made there earlier this week, got about like 200% off that, or 150. Not too bad. But again, even Apple for pre-earnings run up, I mean, watch that 150 level. Tesla's going to report tomorrow. I think it might kind of move like Netflix, where most of the earnings run up is kind of baked in there. And I think really towards that last 20 minutes, or maybe the last hour, like 11 or like 2 p.m. Eastern, I think that's where you'll start getting the premiums waking up there. So watch out for that. And then Fastly and Datadog, these were kind of just some really big runners today, and we've seen these companies move a lot today. I think they kind of stood out. I heard a lot about them. We've all watched these, so kind of keeping these on my radar, especially even like ASON, any of the names that are holding up there. That's what you're going to watch. And then finally, good old TLT, baby. You saw it come down today, and this was probably most fascinating for a lot of people, that this was a very, very big run up here in bonds. TLT drops. That means that the bond yields have went up again, but this time the tech stocks didn't care at all. And I think this just has to do with that divergence that we're talking about. And I think now as we get towards the Fed and then move through earnings, we're probably going to see it end up in one place. But like I'm saying, anything below here is going to be risk off. It has to really break below. And then anything above that's going to be risk on. So I'm still kind of standing by that there. And then as far as the dollar, like we said, a lot of things from the economic forecast, but if the U.S. is pretty much the last one expected to be raising rates while the rest of the world is, those expectations, it's helping strengthen these currencies. So imagine what that is doing there to the dollar. And even then, you saw the Chinese currency strengthen a lot today. So it looks like we're going to be in a lull till earnings, but you got a lot of events in the end of the year right around the corner. Just stay in the game and keep that armor on. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need you to remember it's a new year, baby. Happy New Year. But the code loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.